Honeywell in particular was a really awesome global proof of concept of everything that we had worked on to that point. And it was extremely successful. But you also started realizing that underneath the problems that you thought you were solving for, meaning how is marketing impacting the business and how do we make it better and all that kind of stuff, there were structural issues that weren't just true for marketing and go to market, but any part of the business, right? So one of the biggest ones was, how do you operationalize this math at the decision speed of the business? Which
and why
was
I can imagine why that's important. I mean, from a standpoint of accelerated decision making, but can you speak to why that's such a crucial factor for CEOs, CMOs, and CFOs?
Yeah. So like in marketing, right? The basic math had been used, particularly in B2C, for probably 30 years by that point, closer to 50 years now. And it's called marketing mix modeling, right? The problem with it is not the math. The problem is the fact that you can't recompute these huge models fast enough by hand to stay ahead of the next set of decisions you have to make, right? Meaning by the time you recompute everything twice a year or once a year, right, it's aged out, and even the forecasts are in the past.
Specifically in this day and age where, like, or whether you're dealing with seasonality, but in this day and age, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, your competitors are trying to outspend you left and right. The new products are released every day. So, and the platforms are also changing their algorithms. I understand today, I mean, any person that operates a business with 6 months old data, I mean, you're not going to have a good time.
Well, the other part of the problem, which we all have seen in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, right, is this increasing volatility and high velocity change in the marketplace. And you have to understand that statistically speaking, 70 to 80% of any outcome is caused by things we don't control. It's effectively the wave we are trying to surf, right? So in fact, we're getting ready to release a big report into the marketplace next week on this, right? Where since 2018, right, when ineffective go-to-market spend, so not just marketing, but sales and the rest of it, right? Ineffective spend was somewhere around 20, 25%. And today it's more than doubled. So it's actually most of go-to-market spend today, not by a lot, but we're talking about like 53% of it, right, on average, is ineffective today. Well, it's not because marketers and salespeople and all that kind of stuff
are. Why is it?
They're not smart. They are smart. They're really smart. They didn't take a stupid pill, right? What it is that they have had no way of accounting for the externalities, the marketplace. And it has all the stuff that's been going on in the marketplace has just eroded the effectiveness of go-to-market investment to a very substantial degree.
And are you talking go-to-market for B2C, or is this also B2B?
It is B2B as well. It's actually worse in B2B because time lag is a really big problem in B2B. And if you're not accounting for time lag, right, then you're really got huge issues with, finding your value.
Can you explain time lag in this situation?
It's real simple. It's basically the amount of time that passes between when you launch something into the marketplace and when it starts to have scaled effect, recognizable effect, right? So in B2B, we're talking 6 to 12 months, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer even. Brand investments, main reason why nobody in the C-suite thinks that brand is worth, spending money on is because of lag.
Yeah.
And the time lag obscures your ability to see the impacts if you don't have the analytics.
Exactly, because just in general, like being able to put an ad on Facebook and just spending $10 and seeing, hey, I didn't get anything back or I got something back is immediately clear. If you're in a B2B sales cycle and you're selling to corporates and your sales pipeline is anywhere from 6 to 12 months to close, obviously, like you're going to be needing to spend a lot of money before you get anything back. And usually when you get something back, it's in a retainer or a long-form contract, so you're going to get bits and pieces step by step. So the longevity that's needed right now in the industry to launch something is, you have to have a big bag of cash, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And so what's interesting about this, particularly in some sectors like B2B tech, right, is that 15, 20 years ago, you needed a lot of venture capital up front in order to build the product. Today, you need a lot of money in the bank just to be able to sustain the business long enough to get past the lags, right? So it's a real challenge, right? And it's requiring people to really change their mindset, change their understanding of what's really going on. And it's not just marketers that are struggling with it either. It's everybody.
I hear you. I want to touch on that that marketing spend, where initially 25% of it was let's say it was spent down the drain, and now it's like 50%. There's this age-old thing where we don't know what's working, but we know that if we stop spending, it stops working, right? So the machine stops working. We're not going to get any sales if we stop.
Not immediately.
Exactly. There's going to be some lag on that as well.
There's an overhang, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So this means that a lot of companies are lacking visibility in what actually works, right? We're missing. So, and from what I'm hearing, your journeys with Proof started at that age when you, I believe you worked at HP, where you were told, hey, you have 4 months to get me this clarity. What works and where does this come from? And now you're sitting in this chair. Like, can you talk to me about Proof and how Proof gives insights into these questions?
Yeah, I mean, basically what Proof, the math behind Proof is not our math. There's no magic math here. It's a very, very much of it's not a black box at all, right? It's totally out there. The secret sauce for something like Proof is, again, how do we operationalize it so that people can make better decisions repeatedly, faster than before, right? It's all that kind of stuff. So essentially what's happening is that you're building a causal model is a best efforts digital twin of a real life situation. You're never going to get it perfectly. You're never going to get it all. There's always going to be the unknown unknowns and all that kind of stuff, right? But you can get close enough, fortunately, where it's very helpful. It's very instructive. So what you're looking for in the end from these models is, out of everything that I'm doing over here that I control to try and make this over here happen, net of all the stuff in the middle that I don't control and won't ever be able to control. So the marketplace, your customers, your competitors, all that stuff, right? What works? And it's not a permanent answer, right? Because what works right now may not work in 9 months, right? And so this is why we talk about causal AI. In fact, I just had a book accepted for publication on this, and we call it, the name of the book is Business GPS, right? And we refer to causal AI as a GPS all the time for two reasons. One, it's very evocative and it clearly illustrates the point. But also, it's because the math behind the GPS is identical to our math. So the ability to navigate your decisions, your business decisions, right, over time, so that you stay far more right than wrong, and you minimize waste, and you understand what's really working and not working, and you understand how long you're going to have to wait. That's lag, right? How long you're going to have to wait to see fruition of a particular investment. These are all critical factors that nobody, or well, relatively few companies have really had, particularly in B2B. In B2C, they're actually way ahead of B2B on this.